Hello once again, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nettle20 and this is Kingsblood, the auto chess RPG. A few months ago, the team down at Iceforge Games got in touch with me via email and asked that I pick up a free code for this game and review the demo. Sent it to me via email, and I thought, well, if someone is going to treat me like a games journalist, I will at least do my part in looking at the content they put forward. And since Yorkshire Tea and I haven't been able to get together and record Dishonored recently, I thought this might be a nice treat for everyone on the channel. As for the title of the video, well, all I'll say is that it's a tribute to an old friend, and that's where we'll go from here. So what is Kingsblood? Well, as it says in the title, it's an auto chess RPG. Now, auto chess is a game style, an RPG mode that has become popular relatively, I say recently, in the past 5 or 6 years or so, with variants inside Dota and League of Legends. And essentially the concept of an auto chess game is one where you select units at the beginning of a fight and they just automatically battle against each other, and one side wins and one side loses based on who has an advantage, how your setup is to begin with. As it were, there is very little in-combat decision making. Everything that you do is planned out ahead of time. And so it provides a fertile ground, as it were, for an RPG. Now, as we go into the game itself, I decided I'd look through the PC settings, and as you can see here, most of this is relatively basic. There's some options for resolution changes, although I couldn't actually set it to the resolution of my monitor, as the case may be. And you've also got a couple of game options like map walk speed and combat speed. But broadly speaking, the team at Iceforge is a very, very small team, and I wouldn't expect massive numbers of options for a PC game in that regard. That being said, the limited number of resolution options was somewhat odd, and maybe that'll get changed in the main game itself.
In ancient times, the kingdom of Arthania was not ruled by the living, but under a firm grip of the demons from deep down the gates of hell. As slaves to their masters, all the living were cultured like cattle until their souls were ripe to be consumed. Their lifeless shells were forced into the ranks of undead armies which spread like a plague into all corners of the world. Fortunately, things changed. The tale tells that of a child whose soul was so powerful that no demon was able to even stand in its presence was born. He was known as Moyal, the avatar of God, and his soul radiated so much energy that he not only became king and united the living, but broke down the shackles of slavery. After his death, his soul was stored within Grimgard, an artifact of unimaginable power which served as a barrier preventing any demons to lay a foot into the lands of Arthania ever again. It is said that only descendants of his direct bloodline can uphold the power of Grimgard. That's why the king's blood may never dry up. More than 400 years this was the case, and Grimgard had been passed from one generation to the next, until...
So, a relatively interesting setup where the bloodline of kings is used to prevent the entire world from being overcome by demons that enslaved the entire world. This does strike actually a relatively good tone for the game and what it's aiming for, which is, a Diablo-style, not grimdark. Like, it styles itself as grimdark, but I don't think it's that bad.
What we need first is to gain influence in the larger cities scattered around Arthania. We should start out with setting up informants that will help us find work in at least 2 of the surrounding cities. Enough talking. Let's start the work.
And you can see here that most of the dialogue in this game is actually voice acted. It's a bit rough around the edges, if I'm honest. It looks like some of the lines, I think, have been recorded separately and then put together, but I still appreciate the effort, especially from quite a small development team, to make this somewhat more interactive. What I'd say is that you're kind of just dumped in here. You're given a tutorial and told, unlock a city, that's it. How this relates to what you've been told in the opening cutscene is kind of unclear at this point in time. And you can see here that I just go, alright, this seems like a cool place, let's unlock it. So then the tutorial comes up and goes, well, here are quests that you can get within the city at the town hall. And I think I'm going to get to this. I think there's probably a better way this game could do this. But we'll come to that in a second. So you can see here that we've got slum slave traders and ne'er-do-wells that we need to handle. And we need to assemble a party to deal with them. And we've got this massive grid in front of us talking about the party that we can have. Now, in auto chess games, you'll have a selection of characters, and you can pick out, a selection of them to go in a party. And what you can see here is that some of the party members are deemed as being effective against those enemies. They've got arrows going up. But on top of that, if you mouse over here, these different archetypes at the bottom, you can see that different characters get highlighted. And what these are synergy bonuses. If you have 2 archers, for example, you'll get a bonus. If you've got up to 4 warriors, you'll also get a bonus as well. And so I'm just scrolling through here, being like, summoner, alright, that's cool. What's over here? Dwarf, who gets magic resistance apparently, and that's a dwarf over there. If I put 2 of them together, I get the buff. You can see that on the bottom left-hand side. And so the idea is that you can assemble teams based on synergies that characters have together, based on who they are. So you can see here that I've got 2 elves, so I got the elf buff, but I had to sacrifice my dwarf buff to be able to get it. And that's kind of the opportunity cost and the decisions that you'll have to make in this game ahead of time in terms of what you want to establish as good or bad. And I'm including King's Blood here because it's cheap. 1 King's Blood activates the entire King's Blood buff. I don't need to do more than that. So you can see there that certain characters will be powerful, perhaps not because of the damage that they deal, but because of the swordboard effects they provide, based on how cheaply you can include them in a party. As we go here, there's even more stuff. There are people's blessings, all that kind of stuff that will change how they work. And then on top of that, you can look at people's inventories and equip items that will make them stronger or weaker, as the case may be. I don't think there's anything that makes them weaker, but I've not got that far into the game myself. And so, the first thing I would note with the inventory system is it is somewhat difficult to understand how different things will affect different characters and what they're meant to be doing. Like, I'm equipping that arm guard on my frontline fighter.
Baby well.
And he's going to treat that baby well, apparently, on my frontline fighter, because I think that's probably what I'm meant to do, but I've got no idea what the ability power, or I think that's what that is called, on the staff actually does. So I've just put it on a random character. So, this is meant to be kind of a review of an early version of the game. Advice potentially I would have would be to make it easy to refer to what a character does and what benefit they're getting from an item from the inventory screen. Just by a mouse over. So I start the quest, and I have to end the turn on the bottom right to be able to get to this battleground.
My poor Tara. I wish someday you can forget the horrors of the past and gain back your speech.
So it looks like some characters will have dialogue with other characters in the battles. You can see here that the big elf with the hat has a relationship with Tara of some sort. I think they're a brother and sister. And as such, you get that dialogue when you start up, and it means that you can go and fight. Broadly, I don't really know what's going on at this point, so I just kind of assemble a front line and click fight and go. And it looks like it seems to have worked out for me. As you can see here, we've got a tutorial, by the way, on consumable items. We'll talk about those in a moment. But you can see here, I'm not doing anything. I'm just watching the fight happen. I set it up and all good. So the game's giving me a tutorial on consumable items here. Now, what you can do, and what lets you be active in these fights, is instruct a character to have a consumable or cast a spell. And that will let them do something cool. But we're victorious, I'm very pleased with myself, and everyone gets a little bit of experience. Handy dandy. And we get a bunch of post-combat statistics, which I presume somebody more interesting and intelligent than I could be able to figure out, but I wasn't able to figure out what the value of that necessarily was. And we get side quest rewards. Again, the issue with the reward is... Ooh, there's a flashback. We'll talk about that in a second.
Monsters!
I got confused here. I was like, wait, auto mode plays all of the scenes dialogues, skipping through dialogues automatically. I then got scared because I thought that what that would mean is
Stop it, you little rat. You'll scare away our prey.
that it would skip all the dialogue, if that makes sense, even though that makes no sense.
Your sister.
I swear I'm not lying this time.
Ah! My arm! It ripped out my arm!
What's going on here? Draw your weapons, fast!
So, it's kind of just flashed back to this
I
scene.
told you.
And I think that this is something where the game could really improve. Oh, and it just sent me straight into combat.
Hold out, sister!
Whilst everyone's doing dialogue, and I'm like trying to read the tutorial on combat formation. I think that's what happened is I pushed a key on the keyboard. It activated everything, and because I hadn't done anything else, combat started. So it looks like the keyboard is independent of the tutorial, if that makes sense. And the tutorial doesn't freeze the screen. Probably should, means that errant spaces won't cause things to go off by accident, and people to miss entire fights. So you can see there that the kind of blue bar below people's health is something that will fill up over time and give them a special attack. I can't figure out where the special attack is on this screen, even though I'm told that's necessarily where I need to be looking. So again, just easy improvements on the UI for legibility could do a lot to make what's going on a little bit clearer.
Stand back!
So you can see there our spellcaster gets full mana, or full concentration, and then cast a spell. He'll stand back, boom.
What the hell was that? Oh, my arm!
Bjork is hilarious.
Fast, children! Put a pressure
My
on his arm!
Uncle, one of these things bit me.
That looks bad as well.
Oh, I didn't mean to skip that, I just did it by accident. But truth is, girl's been bitten by a zombie. So, this is kind of how the game deals with its opening narrative. It flashes back, and then it flashes to the present.
Who dares to enter my halls? Ugh, a bunch of useless mercenaries. How pitiful. If you think you can impress me with your deeds, I don't care. The only thing I care for is wisdom and knowledge, and in me you have found your master. Answer this question, or you are unworthy to stay.
Yeah, so you just get asked this, and I'm like, ugh. I've been playing this game for like 10 minutes. I've got no idea what's going on. And then he has the gall to laugh at me. Mate, I've been in this world a goddamn 10 minutes.
You allegory of a loser! Come back when your brain has grown enough to handle my riddles.
To be fair, whoever's been voice acting this has been having an obviously great time. And I'm like, well, can I unlock another city? No, apparently not. I need to wait some more time. Now, yes, where I was before we got interrupted by a man quizzing me was the idea about these flashbacks. So they flash back to an early part of the game, an earlier part of time, and then flash forward again. And I think the flashbacks could have been done a lot better, if I'm honest. If they'd been loaded at the beginning of the game after the cutscene that we saw, and we had some sort of link between that cutscene and the world that we've got as a whole, the game would probably flow a little bit better rather than just dumping us onto a world map and being like, here's a quest, unlock a town hall. And I'm like, okay, I guess I accept this quest. Now, I have already concluded that I'm just going to select the same party over and over again until it stops working. And the reason that I'm doing this is because of the experience system. So since characters are gaining experience from doing fights, it logically stands that if I use the same characters repeatedly, they'll get experience over and over again. And that'll be good, right? It means that they'll level up and they'll be better off. And that's better than having low-level breadth. And, like, you know, my random belief right now is that depth of party strength is more important than breadth of party utility. But I don't know that yet. Who knows? And so yes, here I go and fight some bees. And they are buzzing at me in a rather aggressive manner. But you can see here they're not really that much of a threat. I end up tearing through them pretty quickly. More experience, always good. And you're starting to see the principle of this game pretty easily. You go in, you do a quest, the day changes, you get a reward. And they're going to add complexity to that. But I actually think that this is a relatively intuitive loop. I think that the very basic bread and butter of this game is quite good at the moment.
We are hiding at this place now. We should make this place a bit more cozy.
Yes, so now we have some more of the strategic layer. We have a guild hall that we want to make nicer. So I go to guild hall construction, I'm like, well, I guess we just build this, I guess. And it looks like it's just something that's done over turns and can be done for free. So there's no real downside in doing that. It'll be interesting to see how that system plays out deeper into the game. Is there more opportunity cost? Is the cost just time, so you can't get all the upgrades because you run out of time? Unsure. The game didn't appear to be time limited, but I could well be wrong. So I'm just trying to look through all the cities here and see if there are quests available or anything else, but it looks like there isn't. So again, just pick the same crew. Let's go. And again, what I'm struggling with right now is, well, who's this good on? I guess I'll put it here because I don't know what it does. It's not tutorializing this game needs very much of. It's actually got quite good tutorials for the basics. What it struggles with is UI design and making clear things in general. Like making effects clear, as it were. Now, what I was doing there, by the way, is mousing over characters. And you can see attack lines that they have. If there's a green attack line, your character's going to do more damage. And if there's a red attack line, they'll do less. They'll do half, I believe. I get a little bit worried, so I use some consumes there. But we carry on going. But you'll see me examine those lines a little bit further on in the game as well. And again, I think that's a relatively valuable thing. Again, don't know what's good, but I've got Fireball and Dragon Breath as well, and they seem great. I picked the hammer because I don't know what evasion or magic resistance do really. They're obviously self-explanatory in some ways, but I don't know what the real effect is. What I do know is the effect of increasing damage. And so we flash back again.
Where is everyone?
Look, there.
And I realize the play button
Who's
works
that?
at this point.
Holdor, is that you?
Hey guys! Hope your hunting trip went well.
Not really. We need to find Amalia as fast as possible, but the whole village seems to be abandoned.
Yeah, not completely. I am still here.
So where is everyone?
Well, you know, some walking corpses appeared out of nowhere and started chasing us. The villagers fled north, heading towards the southern gate towards Riverham.
The King's lands? They will never let any one of us outsiders enter.
Meh.
might be a problem. But if you have to choose between getting eaten by brainless creatures or knocking on the king's doors, you should at least go for the option which does not immediately result in certain death.
That's a fair point.
Why didn't you go with them?
You know. Damn! The door's not gonna hold them anymore!
Yeah, so you just get thrust into another fight. Again, I think this is, like, it's a basic story, right? And it's a basic introduction, but I think it could have just been front-loaded into this game and not have had the flashback part, because I think that would have been a really good idea. To just introduce a player not just to the world, but to the story and how it links to the cutscene you see at the beginning of the game, and also just the way to introduce combat mechanics one by one. So I've read through a lot of the tutorials, but I think that this prologue, as it were, these flashbacks, would be a really great way of just being like, here are two characters, here's what they do, here's what this means. And, you know, with the quality of their voice acting, I don't think there would have been a problem, like, having a character just explain, I'm a mage, AP is very powerful on me, or something like that. But this is, at least to me, as an outsider to auto chess in general.
Let's head north.
We'll talk about this in a
Be
second.
quick about it. Maybe we can get entry into River Run.
Children, I always told you that you are not allowed to re-enter Riverum. We are better off handling these rotten creatures.
What in the world could possibly be more dangerous than these monsters here?
We will die for sure if we stay here.
Please, listen to me.
It hurts.
Oh, please don't let me die!
All right. I see. We need to make haste. We'll go north.
And yes, it dumps you back to the present at that point. Now, I think that as an outsider to auto chess, one of the greatest difficulties I have is understanding what effects are powerful together, what ones are desirable, how AP works, how that, like, you know, changes what kind of damage you do, or what magic resistance 6% really means. And I think that one of the traps I think that a lot of game designers fall into is that their own understanding of a game, their own understanding of the complexity behind it is much better than the average player.
Well done. Our influence is growing.
So it's very, very easy for them to kind of lose sight of the forest for the trees.
No information about Aura or Razduval?
Actually, there might be something. One of our informants told us today that an old man in company with what seemed to be an old witch has been seen just north of Gastria. If we could set up a spokesman in Gastria, we might find out more.
Don't know why we're trying to find these people, by the way. That's still not been figured out, because I've not watched all the prologue just yet. At this point, by the way, I noticed that the game has scaling difficulty. So the more you win, the more powerful enemies get, and the more powerful the drops you have get. Which I think is actually a very, very elegant system as things go for a game like this, which is based around, you know, a player not really having that much control over what's going on. Again, I'm just going to pick the same party as I always did, because they're getting experience. That can't be bad, right? And this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about. As an outsider to auto chess, I don't know why certain effects are more powerful, if I should spread things out and get more experience across a wide range of characters, all that kind of stuff. And so understanding the tactics around this for a new player is very, very difficult, I think. And I would very, very much like a future version of this game, you know, more development time, a world where it's just a little bit easier for a new player to get involved. Because I quite like the way the auto chess is actually working and the tactics of putting characters in certain spaces. It's just my brain is too smooth and I don't know exactly where things should be. But you can see here, by the way, that there are dotted lines between the characters here. the enemies and us, and those show the enemy's attack ranges and who they're going to attack as well. But I believe that we've got these bees badly beaten. And we do. Super easy. Super, super easy. Everyone's closing in on level up right there. Don't know what a level up will do, but I presume it's good. Don't know, pick the spear, I guess? Maybe the ring? No, I picked the spear. I always pick damage. That's always my go-to.
Here we are. The southern borders of Riverum.
Yep. Pretty crowded, isn't it?
Let us in, damn it!
Don't let us die out here!
So many people trying to cross the border.
Seems like the guards are controlling everyone.
Wait! I told you to keep your faces hidden. At least you three, Rajo, Aura, and Rilka.
Better. Let's go.
Stop! What happened to this guy?
We are...
Corpses! Bring me in fast! It hurts so bad!
And Bjork is just an idiot.
Shut your mouth.
For some reason.
And let Rastival do the talking.
People who came in close contact with these rotten striders are not allowed to enter.
But she got injured.
Oh.
You won't deny entry to a small child, would you? Let us in!
They have made the most reprehensible character. I love it. Bjork is a highlight for me.
Her? She got bit on her neck.
Don't know why they kept him around, but there you go.
The bite mark.
Sorry, we can't do that.
What was that? You dare to refuse my orders?
Kids, do not show your faces. Let's turn around, else this won't end well.
Here we go!
Stop touching her or I'll cut your face.
Are you crazy, little girl? You think you have a say in this? Our orders are to eliminate everyone who had contact with these creatures.
Wait!
Kill the kid and this armless fool.
No, don't!
With pleasure.
Yeah, and the game just murders Bjork. And then also murders a small child.
Rilka! No!
My child, how could you?
Ha 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 ha! See what you got for getting cheeky.
How dare you? I will kill you.
Interesting. Let us avenge our poor Rilka.
So again, this would have been much better just front-loaded as
comes with me.
an introduction to the plot.
No, let go of me.
And there's so much easy tutorializing you can do across the 4 fights in the prologue that I think the game would really have benefited from. It would have given you a better understanding of the combat, what's going on, and then you introduce the world map, the mechanics, the strategic layer. You'll note that a game like XCOM does exactly that. It gives you 2 missions of just controlling your characters moving around the world before it introduces you to something like the geoscape and the world itself. And this fight is a lot tougher, actually. I think, I'm not sure if it's a fight that you're meant to lose. You're probably not. But I played it assuming that I was trying to win, and I used all the abilities I could to make sure I did. Quickly check water to see if it will do anything. It doesn't, unfortunately. But we have this one in hand.
I failed. We lost her, but we cannot take more of these guards.
I am afraid I am at my limit.
I'll never give up! I'll avenge Rilka and rescue Aura if it's the last thing I do!
You know, I don't actually hate the voice acting in this game. I think it's special. Again, given the size of the team, I think this is a really, really well-acted game for what it is. And Ryo here is doing a hell of a job.
Cleanse them with fire. Set everything ablaze.
Oh, you're all mercy, they're burning us!
Get away from the wall, Raja, or you'll die as well!
And yeah, from there we head back to the present. So this is basically, I got about, 15 more minutes into the game from here, but this is broadly the kind of loop that you see. You go to the town hall, you accept a quest, a day passes, you get a little bit more cutscenes, and you get a little bit more reputation so you can unlock more towns and go on more missions. Or, find more lucrative missions as the case may be. And as you can see here,
traveling
recruit more allies.
And accomplishing heroic deeds. My chance to become a man. That's what my father said before he kicked me out. So, here I am. I guess we have to work together from now on. Get ready for some beautiful music.
Yeah, and again, the voice actors are having the most fun they've ever had in their lives, so fair play to them. I think broadly where we are with this game now is in a pretty good place. I think that the loop that this game has is actually relatively compelling and could be a pretty good one more turn style game. I think where the game falls down for me at the moment is in the depth, firstly in the story. I think the story needs to be more clearly linked to, the world itself and develop more clearly than it already does. I think that the prologue, the flashbacks being spread out rather than being one take hurts it a fair bit, and I'd like to see a little bit more of what's going on in the story, because it generally seems relatively compelling. The other thing that I would note is, again, the game is filled with complexity behind how certain mechanics work, and I think that unless you are very familiar with auto chess, this is going to be near impossible to understand. And I think even if you are familiar, understanding how multipliers work on each other in an intuitive way will take basically the entire playthrough, or just a separate spreadsheet to do it for you and make it clear as to what's going on, and have somebody chart out, DPS increases as the case might be. Now, there's certainly a place for spreadsheet games, but when I think you're making a game like this, which is a combination of two areas, and you have two sets of fans that you might want to get into a game, it's easier and smarter to veer on the simpler side, so that both sets of fans can get into the game more easily, as the case might be. With all that being said, I certainly was able to pick this up relatively easily, and I think that there are many other people who might well be able to as well. So I think King's Blood shows real promise. I think that as a small development team, Iceforge have done a really, really good job with a lot of this. Especially I really like the voice acting, as I've mentioned. And just with a few touches up here and there, I think it could be really, really good. I'd like to thank the guys at Iceforge, by the way, for sending me a review copy, and this is the first, hopefully, of many Natural 20 reviews. But for now, thank you all very, very much for watching, and that was What is King's Blood?